Whoa, wait a minute.
Don't
Wait
go
a minute.
looking for
Wait
it,
a minute.
but-
Hold up. So what's going to happen if I Google Ryan Meyerberg, Miley Cyrus right now? And my laptop just crashed. And it's just crashed.
Perfect. That's what I wanted.
It's gone. Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List, and things are about to heat up.
Yes, they are.
It is the first official week of summer movie season. It snuck up on us.
It did.
Like
Came
all
in
of a sudden,
quick.
I was looking at the calendar. I was like, "Wait, it's May. That's summer movie season, baby.
Yeah,
it's happening.
It's here. It's happening.
Here. It is warming up, metaphorically speaking, temperature-wise. Although, because of certain reasons, it is very warm down here.
It is very warm down here, and I have this long sleeve shirt on.
I don't know why you did that.
This shirt is covered in stains from my lunch today. So
You don't think anyone would care?
maybe I'll take it off during.
You're probably going to have to,
I
because I'm
probably
already
will.
warm right now and I'm in short sleeves.
I probably will.
Yeah, probably. So
Chip chop.
I know that doesn't sound as bad to you guys, but remember, we got headphones on when he does that. So anyways, let's move into it here. Like I said, first week of summer movie season. I say first official because April's kind of the preseason.
Yep. It's the warm up.
The warm-up, yeah. Although it was a little bit slower, I think.
Or would you say
this year.
cool down?
No, it'd be the warm-up.
Yep.
August is essentially the cool down.
Yeah, August is the cool
Even though it's
down.
still technically summer movie
Yep.
season, but
Yep.
August is the cool down. But with that, let's kind of talk about the first big buster on the block, aka the first. Thank you. Came up with that
like
last
that.
night. The Fall Guy. This is essentially the one that's going to be kicking off this summer movie season. So today, for the opening spotlight, I'm really kind of excited about this topic right here. We're going to talk about stunt people in movie history. Originally, when I was thinking of this, like the easy answer is just say, oh, let's just talk best movie stunts. But this movie, Fall Guy, is about essentially. Are you already taking off the jacket thing?
I am.
I was gonna bet you were gonna at least wait till the weekly preview.
Nope.
No, we couldn't even get
I'm
into
hot.
the opening spotlight, and he's already taking it off. Look at that.
You know what they say? It's hot down here.
He does this all the time, folks. He does this all the time to me. Not the. Actually, yeah, the stripping too. Now that I think about it, does that too.
Nick's
You can
gonna-
barely notice the stain.
Nick's gonna
Put
cut
it,
that.
put it on
but-
two. Put it on two. Can you even see that stain?
Look at that stain.
I don't even know if you can see that stain. You were worried about the stain. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, we're talking. Anyways, back on topic here. We're talking stunt movies here. If you do want to actually, I'm going to backtrack here a little bit. I'm a little out of order here today.
Yep.
A little off because of everything that's
Just
distracting
got a
me.
free show.
Yeah, right now.
I know how it.
If you do want to check out some movies with some of the greatest stunts of all time, as per usual, every month we change up a different sort of topic over at the Marshall Land County Library, and we choose some of the movies they have available and come up with our own list over there. This month we will be focusing on movies with the best stunts of all time. Since the Fall Guys kind of kicking off this summer movie season, we want to focus on the area of stunts and action and that sort of stuff in the movie industry. But today, for the opening spotlight, we're going to focus a little bit more on the history. Today's going to be a little bit
History.
more of a history lesson
History.
for you folks out there. So you can go ahead, sit back, relax, and
Learn something.
yeah, it doesn't always have. We're here to teach you today.
Yes, that's right.
It's not all fun and games here on PBL.
You can call me Professor.
Nope, we're not getting into that again. We're not getting into that again. Stop it. Stop it. Anyways, so I guess kind of kicking off this discussion here. What is something you think of when you think of like an early stunt?
When the thing that always comes to my mind is the shot in front of the train with the train logs across the tracks, and he's laying back there and he's getting them and he's throwing them and knocking them off the track as the train's moving forward. Because back then, those are like very dangerous and very, if something goes wrong, you can't stop. Like they're just, if it's wrong. It's wrong.
They're
You're done.
trains.
Yeah.
They don't stop quickly.
Yeah. It's not a,
That's a huge part of their
a
thing.
little piece on a set. It's like, no, you're on a real train going, if anything happens, you're toast. So like a lot of early practical effects that maybe don't seem that, like stunts that maybe don't seem all that crazy are actually very crazy, because if something goes wrong, you're just dead. It just is what it is.
And on that topic, I mean, the first stunt that I think of when I think of like an early stunt, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later on here, the house falling essentially around Buster Keaton in Steamboat Bill Jr.
Yep.
That was one of the first ones that I think of when I think of like an early stunt. Because for those of you who don't know, just to kind of describe it, it's like a storm is happening. The house is kind of collapsing, but just like the one part of it is strategically like falling. And Buster stands right where he needs to so that the window from the top story falls right around him.
Yeah.
Talk about you only have one shot.
Yep.
Because best case scenario, if you miss the mark, or if not even just if Buster misses the mark, but if they miscalculate the mark, or the designers make the windowsill just a little bit too small, best case scenario, he gets like knocked unconscious and is in a coma.
Yeah.
That's the best case scenario.
That's the best thing that could happen.
And in the worst case scenario, he just gets flattened like a pancake. So
Yep.
you literally only have the one shot to do this.
Yep. And it has to be right.
And it has to be right. No
Yeah.
margin of error here.
Yeah.
And that's what they were doing early on. Most people, when you're like first starting up in an industry, you're like, okay, let's take things slow. Let's just kind of get our feet wet. Let's just get it all figured out. Not stunt people early on in Hollywood.
No.
They were some
They went
crazy
to
son
it,
of a
yeah.
guns.
And they actually did an homage to it in Jackass, one of the latest ones.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But kind of going into some of the early history here of stunt doubles, essentially one of the, if you look up multiple sources here, many people consider the first stunt double to be Frank Hanaway. Maybe it was the movie you were talking about here, The Great Train Robbery. Yep. So yeah, this is the one you were talking about here, 1903. He partially, this is what I read. He mainly got the job because he knew how to fall off a horse without getting hurt.
Yeah.
You talk about one and done. If you fall off and get it wrong, again, best case scenario, your leg is broken and you're out for a couple weeks. That's
Yeah.
the best case scenario.
Yep.
But could you imagine putting that on your resume? Can fall off horse.
Can fall off horse.
Know
without
not how to
getting hurt.
get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're like, you're hired.
You could
That's
do
all.
it.
That's all we needed.
Yeah. Here's your 50 cents.
You're not far off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is considered by most sources to be one of the first stunt doubles ever in movie history. Was back in The Great Train Robbery in 1903. Now, you mentioned the 4 cents. The first paid stunt. So this is the first like record that anyone has ever been able to find of like, here's like an actual wage that was paid. Maybe Frank was given like some time or free meal here and there for his trouble. But first paid stunt, most people believe to take place in The Count of Monte Cristo, which was a 1908 movie. Basically an acrobat. I looked a couple of different places. We apparently don't know this guy's name. At least I couldn't find it.
Sounds about right. Old Hollywood.
Yeah, we couldn't find it, but we could figure out how much he got paid, which was $5 to jump off a cliff into
Also
the water below.
very old Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't pay me $5 to do that in a recreational sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let alone for a job.
For a job. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, then that kind of paved the way for more sort of circus folk to sort of transition into stunt doubles.
Yep. I would say that boundary of the circus performer, circus act going from just like a live entertainment to setting up in the motion pictures entertainment. There was a lot of cross population in there, I would say.
Well, and it's also worth mentioning, like, they're really, as far as their concern was, their jobs didn't really change.
Yeah.
When you're in the circus, it is the same thing. It's like you get one shot. If you mess up, you're donezo.
Yep.
And you're just performing. The only difference is instead in front of a live studio audience, you have a camera and you have a little bit more control of the set.
Yep.
You can kind of play around with it a little bit.
Yeah, it's not dependent on each town that you go to. It's going to be the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, it kind of makes sense how you saw some vaudeville actors, acrobats, circus folk being the first stunt people. Because, again, it was basically same job, different location.
Yep. Yep.
So then you kind of transition into the 1920s. This is where you really start seeing some revolutionary, that's a tough word to say, things in safety. You could argue safety first on the set of Safety Last. This was a movie that came out in 1923 called Safety Last. You've probably seen it before. It's the iconic clock scene. Guy hanging off a clock, busy downtown metro area. I can't remember if it's set in New York, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
I don't remember.
I can't remember the exact details.
But I've seen the scene.
Almost everyone has seen the scene where it looks like the clock is kind of slowly falling apart.
Yeah.
As it's kind of like looking like he's dangling off a building. However, like I said, a lot of the safety renovations that we know today kind of started here. More use of stunt doubles. Safety nets were used. Camera tricks had to start being used to hide the safety nets. Because back in the day, they just weren't smart enough to say, hey, if we just put the camera here, we could put a net and
and it'll be okay.
safe and we'd be fine. Like it's sad to say it took about 20 years to figure that out, I guess.
Yeah.
Process was
probably a few broken eggs. Hey, maybe we could just do this.
Can't make an omelet without a few broken eggs. That's the old saying, unfortunately. But yeah, mainly this was because insurance companies did kind of start stepping in and was like, hey, if you're going to put some of these big stars in these big roles, we could maybe invest a little bit into making it so they don't get hurt. So you start seeing a lot of these renovations during that time. A very interesting renovation, I would say, comes around the time of 1930. I mean, some of our favorite stunts are fight sequences, and it's very hard to make them look realistic nowadays without the jump cutting and all that sort of stuff. Beforehand, before you even had any of that, fights didn't look very good.
No, fighting was your very stereotypical you and your friend in your backyard pretending to go 3 over the top and then back away, and then 3 over the top and back away. That's what it was.
Yeah, and not just sword fighting, just regular fighting in general.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So 1930 comes along here, and here's a name I think a lot of people will know: John Wayne, a legend in the movie industry. He had a stunt double that worked with him a lot, by the name of, and I apologize for name pronunciations, I always do, Yakima Cont. This guy. He's going to be around in the stunt industry for quite a while. He started working with John Wayne a lot as his stunt double, and eventually they kind of started to say, like, hey, is there any way we can make these fights look a little bit better? So they started just working on techniques for a more realistic fighting sequences, making punches look more fake. You know, it's the angle of how you kind of punch them and how the person reacts and the sound effects behind the scene. You've probably seen the guy on the side just hitting the meat, just timing it with the punches. And it's the sound and how the person reacts to it that if you kind of combine them and time it just right,
you can sell it.
Exactly. It looks like you're actually fighting them. And these are techniques that we're still using to this day that they developed back in 1930. Name one thing that was invented back in 1930 that we're still using as like the main thing today.
That's good.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's when you know you've nailed the formula, when you figured out something and that we haven't really been able to advance on since then. It's pretty impressive, I think. Like I said, this Yakima guy would go on to be quite the name in the stunt industry. He would pioneer many more stunt elements, a lot more safety features, better harnesses, all that sort of stuff. In 1966, he would receive an honorary Oscar for overall stunt work. So we complain all the time. The Oscars need to give out more stunts. They gave out one.
They gave out one.
60 years ago.
Now there's a precedent for it. Now keep
exactly.
it going. Yeah.
Why, so that's when I read that, I was kind of just like, so you've done it before. Why don't you just keep doing that?
Yeah.
Feels like we should maybe do that.
That's a little old Hollywood still left in there. Trying to.
I guess 1966 would still be old Hollywood, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does get at least a little bit of his due here. I think he's one of the only people to ever receive an Oscar for stunts. So, like I said, when you invent something in the 1930s that we're still using. I do want to take this moment here to take a break from the history lesson and talk about what do we think are some of our favorite fight sequences of all time. Do you got one that kind of comes to your head right away?
Yep. The one that comes to my head is going to be the entirety of the movie The Raid. Absolutely love that film. I watched it probably right around the time it came out. Actually, I would say late 2010s, early 2010s. Anyways, has some of the best hand-to-hand combat fighting I've seen in movies and probably have seen since. Just fantastic film. I believe it's a South Korean film, or we can maybe cut that too. I don't know.
You were right on your first guess as far as date. It came out in 2011.
2011. Okay,
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mine, I'm going to go with an entirety of a movie as well. The Matrix. For me, The Matrix was one of the first movies to truly start blending digital and technological advancements with fighting sequences, with a little bit of practical in there as well. But, some of the camera work they had to do to pull off these stunts was like never seen before.
Yeah.
And stuff that we're still kind of building on today here a little bit. But, it looked... How do I explain this? This is a minor spoiler to The Matrix, I guess. They're in this digital world. So it kind of has to look fake.
Yeah, it has to look digital.
But it has to look fake. Like, it's not fake because they cheaped out or anything like that. It looks digitally fake, like you kind of were implying there. And I think they kind of nailed that with also doing awesome fight choreography.
Yep. And sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you could kind of feel the hits and the kicks.
Yeah, and their technique of having like the circle spiral with the multitude of cameras. I've actually seen that still being used. The last time I saw it was, I want to say it was Discovery for Shark Week. They put some meat like in a big circle with a bunch of those cameras, and then when the shark would go up to bite it, you'd see it, and then it would flash to all of them, so you got like a 360 view. But it was just so cool. It was like, hey, that's from The Matrix.
Yep.
That's the same thing, but it was really like, oh, they're still doing stuff like that. That's cool.
So going back to the 1940s, a group who would call themselves the Cousins, they sort of start to form an early stuntman's union. There had been sort of groups and sort of a couple of stunt people that would work together as teams to do better and safer stunts before this. But it was never an official union or anything like that. So this sort of laid the groundwork as a first like serious one. Eventually, 1961, that's when the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures would officially be formed. And that essentially became like, among other things that union jobs usually do, one of the main things was it made sure that some sort of stunt coordinator was on set during these stunts. Because that wasn't always confirmed that they would have on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was the assistant director's job, which is not smart. Some assistant directors, maybe they're smart enough to figure this stuff out, but some are just there to make sure the actors get to and from the trailer, and that's all they know. They should not be responsible with figuring out the harness setup.
Yes.
So this kind of confirmed that and made it a little bit more of a safer environment. And then backtracking a little bit again here, in 1958, that's really when car stunts get involved. This is some of my favorite stunts, personally. I love a good car chase. I love cars.
You and Michael Bay.
If you want to make that comparison to me and Michael Bay, sure. Let's make that the only comparison between me and Michael Bay, I guess, at least. But really one of the first movies that sort of revolutionized this, Thunder Road, the 1958 hit. This added a whole new level of action. Getting two people together to do a fight, that's one thing. Getting two cars to coordinate correctly, that's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
So now a lot of these stunt people, these sort of unions, again, it wasn't quite established. It was about 3 years down the line. But this was part of the reason why they were pushing for that union to get put together, was so that because cars were starting to get into more and more into the movie game, you needed more safety. You needed more hands. You needed so many other things to make sure these things went well. Hey, we talk a lot about movies on this channel, but sometimes the ones we talk about aren't the most accessible. That's where the Marshall-Lyon County Library comes in handy. They have a great collection of physical media, as well as a couple of online services with many, many options for movies, TV shows, and documentaries. It's easy. Just get your own library card at the Marshall-Lyon County Library and gain access to their large variety of movies, TV shows, and of course, books. Also, be sure to check back every month as we here at Popcorn Bucket List make specific movie recommendations based on a monthly theme. In honor of the Fall Guy, we focused on the greatest stunts in movie history. So head on over to the Marshall-Lyon County Library for some of our favorites and check out the channel to get even more movie recommendations. And now, on with the show! My next question here. Favorite car chase or stunt? Favorite stunt involving a car of all time?
Well, I'd have to go hands down Fast and the Furious. I want to say it was the last one where they take the car jumping from building to building. I'm just kidding. That's
You had me going there for a second.
Yeah,
you had me.
No.
I can go first on this one if you need time to think about this one.
Well, I got something else, but
Mine's a little obscure.
Okay, you do yours and I'll do mine. Mine's not really a car, but it's cool.
Okay. I would say one that is not talked about enough. And the movie's not great. I'm just going to preface this right now.
Herbie Fully Loaded.
No.
All right.
Hey, Herbie Fully Loaded's fine, okay? Don't hate on Herbie. No, I'm going to go with Smokey and the Bandit Part 2.
Oh, Part 2, okay.
Yeah, the second one. The first one's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And does have some really cool car chases and everything like that. Second one, not as good. You go from a guy carrying beer across state lines to transporting an elephant. I don't know how we got to that jump or whatever. But towards the end of the movie, there's a huge part where Bandit, played by Burt Reynolds, he's cornered, man. Buford T. Justice, he's called in the cavalry, literally. Yep. Mounties, and I can't remember what other country the other brother's from. But it's like bunch of cop cars versus him.
Yep.
Well, old Snowman comes up with a bunch of semi-trucks, and they play the largest game of chicken ever that turns into a demolition derby that blew my little 10-year-old mind. This is why kids have a problem with authority these days. It's because you had Dukes of Hazzard and Smokey and the Bandit wrecking cop cars on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And my parents showed me all this, so it's a miracle I'm not like vandalizing cop cars at this point now. But like literally, if you watch the scene, it is pandemonium everywhere. Cars are crashing into everyone. Semi-trucks are pushing cop cars out of the way. I can't even imagine the level of coordination this all took. I looked up because I was curious. IMDb trivia. At the time, this was one of the biggest car chases in film history. Overall, the sequence cost $250,000 worth of vehicles that had been smashed in the creation of this scene. I mean, there are people like just running around as cops getting out of their vehicle while there's other crashes happening behind them.
Yeah.
It's a crazy scene.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out.
I would recommend anyone check it out. Viewer discretion advised, though. They do say the S word quite a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, their cop cars are getting crashed. You can't blame them.
Yeah.
But yeah, go and check it out. It is insanity what all the level of everything that goes on here. And again, the movie's not great, but just watch the final parts of it.
All right.
What's one you want to talk about here?
I would have to go. I'm going to go back to Batman, and I would go with The Dark Knight Rises with the plane sequence in the beginning where the plane is carrying the other plane. And obviously, Christopher Nolan does some, that's still a stunt. It's you are on a plane with a plane and having people do things from planes. It's wild. It's absolutely insane. If you've probably seen it and know what I'm talking about, but you should really look into how they actually filmed it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, obviously it doesn't involve cars, but has the exact same principles as these car chases.
Yes.
You have one following the other. But like if one mistimes something, runs into the other, the whole thing's kaput.
Whole thing's kaput.
You have people in harnesses. Again, it's all about timing and everything like that and coordination. So yeah, I think 100% counts under this discussion here. But yeah, really that kind of brings us to nowadays. 1970s, you did see sort of big stunts being performed by big stars. Bruce Lee, obviously doing his own stunts. You could argue that kind of laid the stepping stones for Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Jackie Chan, bringing comedy element to his stunts. This is something we didn't talk about as much with the early stunt people of Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. They were stunt doubles, but they were known more as comedians.
Mm-hmm. And I would say Jackie Chan definitely fits in that description because I remember the end of the Rush Hour movies, they always have a compilation of him doing stuff and it doesn't work or he slips and misses and it's super funny.
But there we go. That's a little brief history on stunts. We'll talk a little bit more about that here later on, but let's just move into the weekly preview, unless you got any other final thoughts on this one here. All right.
I got one.
Oh, you got one? Okay.
Have you heard the story about Captain America's stunt double?
Maybe.
So Captain America's stunt double was, I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head for a long time. And then he ended up going to do something else, like stunt double for somebody else or something. And his brother then became his stunt double. So both these two brothers were the stunt doubles for Captain America. And then during Avengers Endgame, both the brothers got to fight each other as Captain America in the scene where they fight each other.
Nice.
So those are two brothers that are fighting, and they both played it.
That's kind of funny.
It's kind of a cool story for if you're a stunt person.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. Well, because how many people could say they have a stunt person in their family?
Yeah.
Let alone how many people could say they have two?
Yeah, I would argue if you have one, there's probably a good chance you have more.
Actually, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's a fair point. But yeah, that's a good story to end this discussion off here. Let's go into the weekly preview. Lot to talk about here. Like I said, first official week of the summer movie season here. So let's start with a French romantic movie, right?
Oui.
That was good. I didn't know he was going to do that. That was pretty good. Jean du Barry coming to theaters here. This is the Johnny Depp comeback movie. Essentially, set in 1700s France, where I believe he plays King Louis XV. He brings to the Palace of Versailles a young working-class woman to be his, how do I PG-13 this? His no-clothes friend.
His friend with no clothes.
Yes. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that, okay. Yeah. Basically, I don't know. Watching this trailer, it's basically the Joaquin Phoenix Napoleon movie all over again. It just gave me flashbacks of that.
Yeah, but I feel it's just a lot more talking. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of action in this.
Okay. I should reiterate. It's the Joaquin Phoenix Napoleon movie, but with less war.
Less war, and I even would say less romance. I think
romance?
There's going to be a lot of I think there's going to be a lot of that.
That's fair.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of like
There was a lot of weird romance in that Napoleon one.
True.
Now, yeah, okay, so I'm comparing it to this Napoleon one, but ultimately I want to say it's compared to the Napoleon, this movie I think will be better because this movie is kind of knows what it is and kind of going for it.
Yeah.
Kind of this weird romance in the Palace of Versailles. It's not doing this back and forth swerving thing that Napoleon did that we kind of complained about, which is, okay, it took like a really weird romance scene followed up by another really weird romance scene to one of the biggest battles of all time.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't...
And it didn't show the battle very well.
Yeah, it didn't show the battle very well. Yeah. So I compare it to Napoleon, but only because I feel like we didn't complain about Napoleon enough when we had the chance.
Yeah.
So I'm using this time to complain about it again.
Yeah.
I think this one will be better. Also interesting, they do all their lines in French.
Oui.
And it's English subtitles.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I do got to give him that little bit of commitment there, I feel like.
I don't know if he knew how to speak French before this or not, or if he learned just for this. I feel like he probably did know how.
Probably.
Because it's Johnny Depp, so.
Yeah, seems like something he would just know.
Yeah.
Also coming out, I forgot to mention, that will be coming out Thursday, May 2nd. So by the time this video is out there, that will already be available. Same day, The Idea of You coming straight to Amazon Prime Video. Anne Hathaway stars as a 40-year-old art dealer, falls in love with actor known as Nicholas Getzine.
Getzine?
That's a lot.
Nicholas Getzine?
Gadsden. Let's go with
Gadsden?
that. Let's go with that. He plays a 24-year-old singer in a boy band. And they fall in love. Admittedly, that sounds like the start to a really juvenile Yo Mama joke. But here I think it takes a kind of a serious look at it. It takes a serious look at relationships, especially celebrity relationships.
I would say maybe a more serious look at celebrity relationships.
Okay, so you have some thoughts about the age gap.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, the movie, I really like Anne Hathaway. Mm-hmm. I like her a lot. This whole, I don't know. I've seen a little bit of both sides of the world, as in like the...
You've seen a little bit of both sides of the world, so you've traveled to across country or whatever? Or?
No, like the LA lifestyle a little bit. That's what
okay.
I don't know. It's just it's just I don't know.
So the age gap bothers you a little bit more.
No, I wouldn't even say
not
the
saying-
age gap. I would just say the whole story and the people themselves bothered me a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's just a weird. It's just a weird.
You're just jealous because a pop singer hasn't come up to you and tracked you down.
Oh no! All full disclosure.
I'm doing
Hannah
my best.
Montana, Miley Cyrus.
I'm doing my best to get you in trouble right now.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
That's our past. It's out there.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Don't
Wait
go
a minute.
looking for
Wait
it,
a minute.
but-
Hold up. So what's gonna happen if I Google Ryan Meyerberg, Miley Cyrus right now? And my laptop just crashed. And it's just crashed.
Perfect. That's what I wanted.
It's gone. All right, let's just move on then here. On to Friday, May 3rd. This is the big premiere ticket item, The Fall Guy. Again, coming straight to theaters. Ryan Gosling stars as a stunt double who gets himself unwillingly roped into a mystery when the star of the movie he is working on goes missing. Played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. It also stars Emily Blunt as the director of this fictional movie. The movie itself is actually directed by David Leitich, best known from Deadpool 2, most recently Bullet Train, Atomic Blonde, a couple other things as well. But really well known in action. And man, does this movie got some action.
I think it's gonna be awesome. I think it's gonna be really good. I'm curious as to how much of Ryan Reynolds, how much of his shots are. Not Ryan Reynolds.
It is confusing because Ryan Reynolds is in a lot of these movies.
And I just saw I just looked at him back there.
That's what I was doing. I was trying to distract you.
Yeah.
Playing mind games with you today.
I'm wondering how many of his own stunts he does. Like how much of
That's what I was
an
curious
action guy
about
he is.
too, because I found this ironic. It's about a stunt double, but I guarantee you someone was playing Ryan Gosling's stunt double who
Or-
is a stunt double
Yeah.
in this movie.
yeah.
What was it I read? Apparently, like the world record for most like car flips performed by one stunt person was on this movie. So I mean, it is. I think they did shout him out at. It was either the Oscars or the Golden Globes. But this movie is putting a spotlight on stunt doubles and people, which I think is good.
Yep.
Even though it is big name stars still playing the stunt double, it is still putting a spotlight on it. And me and you have talked about this before. I think stunt doubles are one of the most underappreciated parts of the film industry. I mean, how many times have we said, just in this episode, we talked about get him an Oscar.
Yeah.
Get him an Oscar.
Yep.
So hopefully this kind of keeps the ball rolling here. And
I think it will. I think it'll do, especially if it does good numbers. I think it will.
Personally, I have no reason to believe it wouldn't.
I don't either.
You got the star power. You
I
got
think
the
it'll
action.
make more than This Is Me or whatever. This Is Us. It's the one we just talked about. Let It Be.
The Idea of You.
Idea of You.
The streaming service movie that's coming straight to Prime Video. You think
Yeah.
it's going to make more than that?
Yeah, I do.
I think you're onto something there.
I do.
Meyerberg with the stats here today.
That's what I got, baby.
You okay there, buddy?
Getting hot.
It is getting very warm down here. I don't know if you could tell. It is. I'm sweating. I'm actually
getting there.
sweating. Yeah. Let's just keep moving here then. Okay, you're gonna have to help me with this pronunciation. Tarot.
Tarot. Yeah.
Why do you
Tarot
why do we
cards.
put the T there?
I didn't make them.
I know. I'm not blaming you. I know it looks like I'm
I
blaming
just-
you. I'm blaming us as English speakers.
Why did we create these though? I don't know.
Someone along the line did, and
Yeah.
that person I want to have a talking to because tarot should not have a T at the end of it.
Well, I think it's actually like tarot cards, like the actual pronunciation.
Tarot. Well, then why is
tarot.
this still? Why is there a T?
I don't know. It's goofy. It's weird.
Until someone tells me why, I'm going to pronounce it the way I want it to, which is tarot. All
There
right,
you
that
go.
one's coming
There you
also
go.
to theaters this weekend. This is the first summer horror movie of this summer movie season. You've had kids playing with Ouija boards before. You've had kids playing Truth or Dare with a demon.
Yep.
Last year we had kids playing with a demon hand,
Yep.
and yet they still have not learned their lesson. A bunch of college kids, they play with tarot cards to, just for fun. Just as like, hey, as a goof. They'll tell you your
Little
fortune.
gaff, little goof.
Oh, look at that. Huh, you're dead.
Yeah.
Real fun time.
Yeah.
Real knee slapper.
I think it looks interesting. Also, I think it is connected to the MCU because Ned is in there. So
You think Spider-Man's going
I
to come in
think
and save the day?
Spider-Man might come in and like maybe do an appearance.
And then Ned's going to look at him and be like, who are you? Because remember at the end,
Yeah. He's like, oh, thanks, Mr. Local Spider-Man.
yeah, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, MCU confirmed, right?
Yep.
Meet me at camera
It's
2
happening.
once again. MCU confirmed. There we go. Yeah, there's a line in this movie where the kid even goes like, "Oh, there's an unwritten rule: never play with someone else's deck." I have a better rule. How about never use a creepy-looking deck you found in someone's attic, like ever? That maybe should be a rule. That's all I'm saying about that. Yeah, looks kind of scary, a little bit cliche, but you need something to balance out the action movie as well. You need a little something.
You need a little something for the other people.
Exactly. And finally, coming out here this weekend, Unfrosted. This one's coming straight to Netflix. Very loosely based on the true story between the rivalry between Kellogg's and Post in coming up with the Pop-Tart. Basically, the only true thing about this is that Kellogg's and Post did actually have a rivalry about coming up with a breakfast pastry.
Yeah, this looks really funny.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it's very, very much exaggerated humor. Basically, they're making it seem like this whole breakfast pastry fight between these two companies is the exact same stakes as the space race.
Yeah.
Because this took place during the 60s. That's when the space race was kind of happening between us and the Russians. Only this time
Ruskies?
Yep. Only this time it's Kellogg's versus Post. Jerry Seinfeld, he's pulling the hat trick on this one here. Our movie hat trick, as we call it. He wrote, he directed, and he is starring in the movie. Speaking of which, who doesn't star in this movie?
It's insane how many people. At first, when you watch the trailer, it's like, oh, I know them. And then it's all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I know those guys too. Oh, was that who? Yeah, that was who. And then it just keeps going.
It keeps going. Bill Burr is JFK.
Yeah.
Dinklage is doing something. I don't know. It seems like almost everyone in the comedy industry is in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if you're in the comedy scene and Jerry calls you and says, hey, we got a part for you, it's going to take 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
Like even just a one scene little thing.
Yeah.
You're
Unless
in.
it's Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Can't say no to that guy.
You're in.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, very much over-exaggerated, but again, I think I kind of see the humor here. I like it. This will be Jerry Seinfeld's first attempt in the movie industry since 2007's The Bee Movie.
I was going to say, he better be ready. I was waiting on that, and then you beat me to it, so...
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while here, so hopefully he makes a comeback. It's been forever since I've seen The Bee Movie, so I don't remember it being as bad as most people said.
You don't remember it being as bad?
Okay, you get one. That was two. And honestly, the one was pretty forced as well. So, no, I don't remember it being as bad. But I remember, I was like, again, I was 10 when that one came out. So
you don't remember it? What is bad?
I'm not going to say it.
You said it. You already said it. All right,
yeah, I said it because that's the name of the movie, Bee Movie.
Yeah, but you said I don't remember it being as bad.
Yeah, I was just saying being as in a word, as in
being.
I'm not punning.
All right, let's go.
All right. Anyways, any other thoughts on this one here?
No, looks funny. Gonna watch it. You said Hulu, right?
Netflix. Netflix.
Got it.
Netflix. Let's then end things with number one recommends. I'll kick us off this week. And, I'm going to stand by what I said originally. I'm going to very loosely, very softly challenge, softly recommend challengers. Sorry, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said when we kind of left it. For me, again, still the positives just barely outweigh the negatives. I'm talking 51-49.
Okay.
So when I say recommend, it's a very soft recommend, and that's all I can say about that. But what are you talking about this? What are you recommending this week?
I'm going to recommend Ungentlemanly Warfare. Absolutely loved it. The acting was phenomenal. Action was pretty good. The first sequence reminds me of a Quentin Tarantino film. If you like his style of movies, I think you'll really enjoy this. And it does tell a story, a war story that most people don't know. Actually, a majority of people don't know. It wasn't unclassified till 2014.
Very recent, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have to look in to see the details and how accurate it was. I'm sure we kind of talked. I'm sure it was pretty accurate. Obviously, some minor embellishments, but I think it would be it's a really good film. So I suggest checking it out.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. Special thing is happening over at the Marshall Sixth Theater, the 25th anniversary showing of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. There will be showtimes here in the Marshall 6 Theater, I am pleased to announce. And Ryan, okay, he's doing a thing here. There we go. I should have brought my lightsaber. I don't know why I didn't do that. That's actually kind of inaccurate because I don't think the clones were in Phantom Menace at all. So, I mean, I appreciate the effort, though. Still good. Anyways, also head on over to the Marshall Lyon County Library to check out our monthly display. Again, in honor of the Fall Guy being the first blockbuster of the season, we are focusing on the greatest stunts in movie history. So head on over there and check those out. For myself and Ryan Meiberg, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.